Hello everybody, it's nice to see some of you again and some new faces as well. And my name is Dee Hoffman, I'm the evaluator for the center. And today what I'm going to talk about a little bit is what is the evaluator program, a little bit about that. Larry covered a bit of it as well. Oh, we better just hold this. Will that make a mess for them? Well, I don't hear anything, so I guess not. Okay, I'm going to talk about the role a bit, I'm going to talk about the program a bit, and let you know more about the life form. Some of you went through it last time, but, well, nuts. Okay, let's go back. So can I go backwards this way? Yes, I can. Okay. So here's the approach I'm going to use. We're first going to talk a bit about the program, the goals, and the database. We're going to talk about the role, and then the life form. So. The goal of the program is basically, there's 4 elements to it. First is documenting the accomplishments, and Larry did speak to that a bit. One of the things that we try to document and find out is what is the return really on investment for industry in this? What are the outcomes? How much research has been transferred to industries? He talked about some of the fabulous findings and outcomes that they had and the value of them for some other centers, and what we brought too was a compendium of research outcomes. And I'd like for those of you, especially in the industries that didn't get a chance to look at this, to come up afterwards or during break and take a look through it and see some of the outcomes that we've had in other centers. So that's one of my roles, is as you go forth, is to document just what's coming out of the center. It's also not just about the research and the transfer of the research, it's about what's going on with your students. How much retention are you having them work in industry? How much are they being recruited? Because a very large portion of this program is developing and growing our PhD students. So I just wanted to remind you of that portion. The second area is, one of my roles is to provide to the center continuous improvement and promote it with some actionable feedback. And what I do basically, another way to put it is, I look and see, are you operating in a manner that will promote the development of the trusted relationship? Larry spoke a lot about the development of a trusted relationship, and it's a long-term relationship. So are you doing the things that are necessary for that? Are you operating in a way that's consistent? Are you doing it cooperatively? How are you making decisions? Is the research agenda a shared approach to research? Are you communicating between the meetings? That's one of the findings that we've had. This says successful centers don't just communicate at the meetings. There's a lot of interrelationships and interaction going on between meetings. So I look at that. I look at is there clarity around the roles? How is the IAB operating? Is the IAB getting their needs met? Those are the types of things I look at, and I provide the feedback to the center, to the IAB, to the directors, so that we can continuously improve the way we work. Those centers have been operating for about 30 years, and the good news is that because they've been evaluating all the way along, we really do know what some of the things are that are important. Those are the types of things I will look at and try to provide you feedback on. The third area is that because evaluators work with a lot of different centers and we interact with a lot of other evaluators, we hear a lot about different best practices. And one of the things we do is promote the best practices within a center. If I hear of something at another one of my centers, I'll communicate it to you. If I see you operating in a way that isn't in alignment with some best practices, I'll tell you either in the annual report or I will tell you directly. And also bring it back, and hopefully along the line there will be some best practices developed here that then I'll be able to share with others. And finally, really the goal of all of this is to promote our understanding of just what makes these centers work. We know how valuable they are. So we are gathering this data, we are evaluating not only to make the center, your center work better, but to promote it, to promote the concept, and to promote the understanding, this is how it works well, so that as we go forth, other centers can benefit as well as you. So that's really what the evaluation program, the goals are of it. And again, I do have these compendiums that are really interesting to read. We do have a database, and I believe Larry referred to it a little bit. It consist of the annual reports over the years. Along the way, each fall, not the first year, but the next year, I will be, as part of my data gathering for how we're doing, I'll be sending out some process outcome questionnaires. The industry members will get a questionnaire, and it's going to ask, how are things going for you? How's the decision making happen? Are we getting shared agenda? Basically, are you getting your needs met? So we'll be looking at that. Then I'll also be sending out a questionnaire to the faculty, and then of course asking and talking with people and having interviews. And then one of my responsibilities is an evaluator's report once a year. So I'll be taking that data, I'll be watching how we work here, and I'll be trying to provide you feedback so that along the way we can make course corrections in the way we operate if necessary. Here's just some of the things I do. I'll do the evaluator's report on a yearly basis. We did our first one, and really it was like a half-a-year evaluator's report. I'll be representing the NSF here at the meeting. Usually we will have an NSF representative as well. It would probably be Larry, or it might be Babu, or maybe it'll be Alex, but usually we'll have an NSF person, then you have an evaluator. We have a yearly meeting in January that the director will be going to, and I will be also representing you there. That's in Arlington. And also in June, we have an evaluators meeting. That's where we hear a lot of the other best practices. So I'll be representing, I serve as your representative there as well. I will be chatting with Brian and probably with Greg along the way if I see something going on or on some best practices. And then I also will be helping to administer and facilitate the life dialogue that needs to happen. And we'll tell you more about that later, if people do leave, my role will be to call them, to talk with them, to interview them. Why are you leaving? What needs were not met? What's going on that you left? So it's a pretty broad role, but it's all in service of getting the center to operate as well as possible, to develop those trusted long-term relationships. Along the way, if you have any questions, just please raise your hand or just say it. So Larry talked about the life. And this really is a really great tool, and it's a tool, as I like to put it, for having the right conversations, for having the conversation about the research. It's a structured way for the IAB to have input and decision-making influence in terms of how the research projects are going. We may want you to shift this way or that way. It's a very structured approach, and it's a very good approach for the conversation. What it does is it allows us a way to assess members' interest in the projects, their input into the progress and direction of the research, and their suggestions and sometimes offers of assistance. It's a tool for the dialogue. It is not, what you'll do is you'll look at, you'll rate it in terms of interest, you'll give feedback. It is not the voting process. It provides the input for people, it provides the dialogue that when you do end up allocating research dollars to it, it will help inform your decision, but it is not the decision-making tool right there. It is really a data gathering and a conversation mode. So what happens in the process is that today you'll see that you'll have the researchers present either their update on here's how our research is going, and we will have one new project that will be presented. Directly after the presentation, after each presentation, the IAB board members will rate their interest in it and on the project, and then they will make comments on the merit, on the design. And then later, after all that's done, the IAB will actually review those results and discuss the project ratings in the comments. And that's where we'll be having a discussion. And they will also offer the feedback and suggestions on the research project during the discussion. Not just written, but as you know, dialogue sometimes can change some thoughts. And then after they do all that, then they start saying which projects do we like and allocate research dollars to projects that have not already been chosen. And so that's being used. So that's the process. And what you'll see today is project presentation, and then life assessment, project life assessment. And Larry went into this a bit, but this is what you will see on screen. I'll explain how to get that in a minute. You will see, after you select a project, a rating, and you will go, well, am I very interested with change, which is always the most interesting one to hear, not interested, and abstain, and then there's a forum area for you to make comments. When you make comments, the comments generally, we hope, will be on the merit of the research, how applicable is it to your industry, to your setting. Do you have any offers of help? Do you have any other ideas about it? Have you seen similar work elsewhere? That's a real value of this. What else is going on in industry or that you've read about and know about? Do you have any suggestions about the design? Are there any other applications you can see or applications for yourselves you can see? The benefits and, as I said before, the relevance. So there's an area for you to make those comments. Those comments are critical because that's what's really going to help inform the researchers. Is the direction we're headed useful and relevant for the industry members? There are two options for this. The first option is online, and at this point I'd like to know how many of you do have access today to a computer where you can, we have internet access here, but how many of you IAB members or industry people? You don't even have to be a member right now, just industry. How many people are here? I think there were like 7 I counted. Do any of you not have access to a computer today? 2 of you. Okay, so we have 2. So maybe we can either provide them with a computer to work with, or you'll use paper forms. We'll figure that out on the break.
The paper forms are already in your binders.
Okay, good. Okay. So what you will do is you will browse over to this particular website, and it should be in your book. And when you do it, you will go and you will see this screen. Actually, this is the May 3rd screen. You will see a screen that looks very much like this, but when you see the CABPN, it will say November 16th. There were something like 30 meetings when I was snapshotting the screen, so I couldn't get to this date, so I went back to an old one. But it will look like this, and you will see CABPN. And you will go down, and you will select that. It will look just like that, basically. At that point, it will take you to this screen, which will show you the projects. You will select the project that you just heard about. Okay, you will say Evaluate Project. That will then take you to the next screen. And at this point, you will indicate the level of interest, and then you will write some comments. Okay? Give your opinions, your comments. You will ask questions. Now, we ask for your name and your organization. That will not show up later on when I use the part, when I present it on screen. Your name and organization will not show. And it says it will not be divulged during the review. However, I'm going to give you a caveat on that. There are times we're going to say, on that comment, who said that comment, can you elaborate a bit more? So just know we may be asking. And so if you're comfortable to say, but know that all your comments will come up on a screen, and there may be a question. And mainly to elaborate, or if there's something somebody doesn't understand. Okay? So that's what that will look like. On the paper option, I call this my ode to Luddites, but then sometimes computers don't necessarily, there's firewalls in life and you can't get through sometimes. Then you'll find the light form in the notebook. So once you're done with that, if you're going to do it by paper, as soon as you finish it, hand it over to either me or to Greg, and we'll take care of it there. So that's what that looks like, and this is the website. So I just want to, again, just let you know that the evaluation is intended to support the center and to help the center. And I'm really looking at how we're going to be operating in a way that will facilitate and focus on that trusted long-term partnership. So that's what the evaluator is there for, and at any time that any of you wish to speak to me, either from the group or privately, just feel free to call. I think my contact information should be in there. And that's it. Any questions, comments?